A Negro will receive an anonymous letter giving him 24 to 36 hours, occasionally 10 days, to quit the county, Nash wrote. And that meant precipitate flight and abandonment of everything owned in the world. In other cases, it meant a sale at a few days' notice, during which a cow worth $25 would bring $8 to $9, and hogs worth $15 to $20 sold for $4 to $6. House and land brought nothing. If the Negro owned a mule, he moved out his furniture. Otherwise, it burned after his departure, because mules can actually carry up to about 160 pounds in addition to their own weight. Then it says failure to evacuate on the date set meant a stealthy visit in the night and either dynamite or the torch. The result was a state of terror which caused one Negro family to accept a 24-hour notice delivered by two children, aged 5 and 6, respectively, who had learned the game from their elders. A 5 and a 6-year-old came to these people's houses and left them a notice saying, "Get the freak up out of here, or we coming to blow you up with dynamite." These are the same 5 to 6-year-old who grew up in the 1960s, the 1970s. And these niggas is adults wreaking havoc on people's lives while they're trying to fight for civil rights. These are the same adults that created a whole new generation in the 80s and the 90s and in the early 2000s. And this stuff has continued. But you got these same psychosis having white folks sitting out here talking about ain't nobody motherfreaking dealing with the effects of slavery. Child. That's where your understanding come to, baby. You just might need to pick up a book and ask God to increase your motherfucking learning abilities, your retention, because your comprehension. Ask the good Lord for some wisdom, some understanding, because you're lacking. As Forsyth's white children learned the game of terrorizing black neighbors and driving them from their homes, a small group of African Americans tried to continue living peacefully in town, hoping they might be protected by their close connections to rich whites. Nash spoke with one black employee at Cumming boarding house and told how even after repeated notices, the owner kept her on until January, but let her go then for fear he could no longer protect the servant's life. Nash heard similar stories about longtime employees on the farms of the county whose white bosses only dismissed them, often with regret and apologies after repeated threats from the mobs. Nigga, don't nobody want your apologies and your regrets. You done fired them and kicked them out. Like, it is what it is. Asked if he knew of any cases where blacks were defended by whites, a Forsyth farmer told Nash that old man Roper yonder had a nigger he well nigh couldn't live without. Knew every stone and stump on the farm. The boys warned him time and again to get shed of him. But Roper would keep him on. So one night they just had to pick a stick of dynamite under the nigger's house. No, it didn't kill him, but it started him for Hall County right smart. I reckon they won't be back. You see, the young fellers are growing up sort of with the idea that this is a white man's county. So they're saying that the young people grew up with the idea that this is white man's county. And here we are in 2025, niggas still look at Forsyth County as white people's county. Even though they literally displaced black people, kicked them out violently. If you want people to think otherwise of you more positively, then give them more positive experiences.